Good evening and welcome to Truth and Power with Pinaki, a show where we dive into the critical moments shaping our nation and speak truth to power. Today we are honored to have with us one of the most prominent and influential voices in Bangladesh, writer and activist Pinaki Bhattacharya. Pinaki has been at the forefront of political commentary, fearlessly exposing the nexus of corruption and power. And today, we are here to discuss a pivotal moment in Bangladesh's journey, the rise of Professor Muhammad Yunus as the transitional leader in the post-Hasina era. Pinaki, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rafa. Always a pleasure to get you as a host, and hopefully, we'll continue to discuss in this channel on other issues as well.
Let's start with a powerful image. This year's Eid congregation in Dhaka. What happened there was nothing short of extraordinary. Tell us about that moment.
It felt like people's celebration in truest sense. After the prayer, when Professor Yunus, the chief advisor of transitional government, began greeting the congregation, people rushed to shake his hand. Many who got the chance visibly moved and overwhelmed. They were shouting, "Sir, stay 5 more years, fix the country." Moments like these are rare in history, when people don't just tolerate a leader, but plead with him to stay in power.
Well said. That level of spontaneous public support is actually extremely rare. So, what do you think makes Professor Yunus so beloved?
Well, it's Socrates once said that best rulers are those who never wanted to rule. And in the history of Bangladesh, we have had two such men, Ziaur Rahman and now Professor Yunus. Both were reluctant leaders, pulled in by circumstance and called upon by the people. And like Jia, Yunus has maintained a reputation of being incorruptible. People are tired of leaders who loot the state. And on the contrary, with Yunus, with no political baggage or personal ambition, represents the opposite of that.
But still, his government hasn't been without criticism, like especially regarding the makeup of the advisory council. What's your take on that?
It's a valid criticism, and most advisors were not part of the revolution that brought this change. Many are old, passive, disconnected. Even Professor Yunus has admitted this. But it's also true that this government is running on his leadership, means Professor Yunus' leadership alone. His charisma, integrity, and relentless work ethic are holding it together. That's the root of his popularity. People trust that he is sacrificing, not benefiting.
So, you mentioned that he was reluctant to take this role. So, could you walk us through how he came to power?
Well, he was, we all know that he was approached during 2006 during 111 regime, but he declined. This time, after massive bloodshed and revolutionary changes, it was the student leaders, the true vanguard of the revolution, who begged for his help. He couldn't say no. And this was not his ambition, this was a duty. He answered a moral call, not a political opportunity.
The obstacles he faced upon taking charge were enormous. So, what were some of the most serious challenges that you think?
The police had fled their stations during the uprising, and the answer, which is actually state owned militia, they mutinied. The mafia group, Hasina's private goons, Chhatro League, and even the elements in the opposition all began exploiting the chaos. And then there was India, openly hostile, almost colonial in its nature, in its attitude, and their media cried like they had lost a province in their colony.
And India's interference was more than just political, wasn't it?
Absolutely. That's documented evidence. Opposition leader like Salahuddin of BNP kidnapped and found inside India. Salahuddin was picked up by RAB, we all know, and ICT prosecution. They even found Hindi-speaking shooters in police uniform, firing on crowds during the revolution. India's behavior reflected not just meddling, but directly complicity in the repression of Bangladesh people during the Hasina's regime.
Okay. Despite all this, what has the transitional government actually achieved?
They achieved a lot. Inflation is down. Prices of essentials have stabilized. And even during Ramadan, prices actually dropped. And I can cite another example that airfares for migrant workers have halved after breaking the airline cartel. Law and order has improved. Police no longer shoot first. And for the first time, people feel that the state is being repaired.
But then so, there's still resistance, particularly from BNP. Now, what's their issue?
Well, BNP is stuck in an electoral mindset. They claim that the government right now, President Yunus government, lacks the mandate to enact reforms. But ironically, under the current constitution, even an elected government cannot bring a foundational change in the constitution without a two-third majority. And um, President Yunus wants consensus before implementing reforms. BNP won't even sit at the table.
Hmm. Pinaki, so what does this say about where Bangladesh is headed?
Unless we move to a second republic, the new constitutional framework will keep recycling faces in a broken system. The fear is we let the rare opportunity and slip and fall back into the cycle of mediocrity and corruption. Professor Yunus is showing what's possible, not with magic, but with vision, ethics, and brutal honesty.
Pinaki, as we wrap up, what happens when Yunus finally steps down? What do we need to do to prepare ourselves for?
Well, when he leaves, we'll realize what we had. The frustration will be overwhelming. We'll say we had a visionary leader, a worker, a man without greed, and we let him go. Unfortunately, he had to spend more effort repairing Hasana's damage than advancing his own vision. And the brutal truth, we may never get a chance, and we never get someone like him again. Someone with vision, with no vested interest, no political debt, no fear.
Powerful words, Pinaki. Thank you so much for joining and for sharing these vital insights. To our viewers, this has been Truth and Power with Pinaki. We hope you walk away with not just more knowledge, but a deeper sense of what's at stake in our country's journey. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and never stop asking hard questions.